Why is there something rather than nothing? Well, the correct answer to that is the correct answer to many very difficult questions is I don't know. And the fact that I don't know doesn't mean that a God did it. I mean, this is something that theists seem to present time and time again. Human beings can't understand this issue, so it must mean that there's some super powerful being with intention that created this. That's totally not the case. That lacks any kind of evidence or any kind of support of any kind. You know, when we see a house, we know that that house was built by someone or by a group of people. That's how our brains work. We see something and we think that thing has a purpose. That thing was created by something with a purpose. Okay? But the universe is so vastly beyond our understanding, we can't assume the same kind of things for the universe. I mean, basically, to understand why the universe exists, we need to be able to think in ways that we are not capable of thinking. Okay? That doesn't mean pulling out a book that a bunch of Bronze Age primitives wrote and going, well, I like that. That's not figuring out the answers. That is accepting what a bunch of people who had no idea what they were talking about wrote down in a fairy tale compilation. At present, nothing comes to mind that is particularly persuasive regarding, the truth of any belief structure, any specific religion, certainly. As far as theism itself, still, I no, there's really nothing that stands out to me as persuasive in any way. The best reason to believe in a higher power, to believe in an afterlife, gods, things like that, are, to reduce suffering. If you're a 9-year-old kid who's dying of cancer, I'm not going to tell you there's no God or that there's no heaven. I'm going to tell you that you're going to heaven, you're going to be with God, everything's going to be fine. Of course I'm going to say that. That's compassion. Or my 92-year-old grandfather, if he said something to me about heaven, I'm not going to tell him that it's all bullshit. So to me, compassion is the biggest reason to be religious, or to allow someone to be religious. But again, that's not evidence in support of any religion. Okay, I'd like to make a quick point before I get to my opinion, and that is that not all atheists are, anti-spiritual or anti-religious or anything like that. For example, Buddhists do not believe in a deity, so they are by definition atheists, but they still believe, in a higher meaning, in, a purpose of life, very much so. So, just want to get that out because I think a lot of people don't realize that. Now, I understand what you mean. You're talking about people who are, scientifically minded. People who are not persuaded by anything unless it's supported by observable evidence, which is the way I feel. I don't think that it makes any sense to believe in something if there's, no evidence in its support. It just seems kind of silly. The truth is, we are a race of highly adapted primates occupying an infinitesimal sphere which is orbiting around a tiny ball of burning gas amidst an endless vacuum, and we have no idea why. We don't even know if why is an applicable question, because there may be no philosophical reason for our existence. And if there is, we may never know it. We could go extinct before we find the answer to that question, if such an answer even exists. So how do I reconcile? I don't, because there's nothing to be reconciled. I don't believe in God, and I don't believe that there necessarily is a purpose. That doesn't mean that there's no purpose for your life or for my life. I I want to publish a novel that I believe can make a lot of money, so that I can use that money to make the world a better place. I mean, that is my dream. That is what I want to do with my life. So I feel that is my purpose. You know, I wasn't born necessarily with this purpose. I took it upon myself to have a purpose, and just that, and you know, I mean, that's an extreme example. Not everyone has to dream of saving the world or changing the world or anything like that. But if you have a purpose for anything, I mean, if you have a child, or if you have a sick relative who needs your help, or you have anything at all that gives a reason for you to be here, then you're good. You know, there's nothing to worry about. Why do you need there to be an original philosophical reason for the existence of humanity, or the existence of life on Earth, or whatever, if you yourself have a purpose for existing? And if you feel that you don't have a purpose for existing, I suggest that you find one, because you're not going to be satisfied by speculating about, you know, what is the purpose of life if you don't feel that your life in and of itself has a purpose. I was raised actually in two different households, because my parents divorced when I was a very young child. And my mom went to live with her parents, who were Baptists, church-going Baptists, who brought me and my cousin to church with them all the time. My father and my stepmother, who came into the picture pretty early on as well, were, I would say, agnostic. So I had the grandparents telling me about God and Satan and Jesus and all that, and my dad and my stepmother really didn't say much about it. I remember one incident when I was in the bathroom at my dad's house, and I was very scared that the devil was going to come get me. And my dad said to me, "The devil only exists if you think he does." I realized that if I hadn't had that kind of influence, you know, my father being honest with me, it may have been very difficult for me to overcome my fear of the devil and hell, which is why I think a lot of people are religious, because they're too scared that they might go to hell if they question their beliefs. It's a very, very, very manipulative, evil, corrupt system that, you know, not only makes a virtue of not thinking, but scares people away from thinking. It's pretty bad, you know. And I feel very fortunate that, you know, I was given a fair opportunity. Okay, again, I need to start this one off with a qualifier, because that question in and of itself displays a lack of understanding of what atheism actually is. It's not a cult, it's not a belief structure, it's not a organization. All atheism is the lack of belief in gods. Okay, I can believe in fairies and dragons and unicorns and whatever other shit I want to believe in, but as long as I don't believe that there is a god or any gods, that makes me an atheist. So there is no atheist agenda. Okay, so I can't answer that question. What is the end goal of atheist activism on YouTube? Because to my knowledge, there is none. For me, the reason that I am an atheist, and the reason that I honestly try to get other people to become atheists, is because religion is so damaging in so many ways. I mean, how many wars have been started because of religion? You know, I mean, look at the Middle East today. I mean, that whole war-torn area of the world is the way it is solely because of religion. You know, they're all fighting over the holy city, Jerusalem. If there were no religion, there'd be nothing for the people in the Middle East to be fighting over. So all I can give you is my personal goal for trying to promote atheism, and that is to help people. It's that simple. I want to make the world a better place, and